Hi, you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we are creating this beautiful soft glam Onam look, and honestly, I'm obsessed with how this turned out. It's glowy, dewy, fresh, and the eyes have that perfect, soft, sultry definition that pulls the entire look together. And if you're new here, please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. I create beauty and lifestyle content. I would absolutely love to have you here. So without any further ado, let's get started. First things first, I'm applying some lip balm because we definitely need to keep the lips hydrated while we do the rest of our makeup. Now for my skin prep, I'm going in with my Dalba spray serum and misting it all over my face. This gives my skin that gorgeous hydrated glow and creates a really beautiful base for the makeup that we're about to layer on. Next, I'm using the Insights Primer, mainly focusing on my T-zone and the areas where my pores are more visible. I personally love using a pore filling primer because it helps create a smoother looking base. You can literally see the difference once it's blended in. Now for my base, I'm using the L'Oreal's tinted serum in the shade 3-4 Light Medium. I am taking a small amount on the back of my hand and blending it in with the dense brush. This is from Mars. This brush makes blending super easy and gives such a seamless finish, and I absolutely love this tinted serum because it gives that perfect your skin but better effect. It evens everything out while still allowing your actual skin to look like it. So the coverage for this one is light to medium, but for today I really wanted to keep the base fresh, lightweight and glowy. Moving on to the concealer, I am first using the Insight Color Corrector palette and picking up the orange corrector. I am applying it underneath my eyes, but instead of taking it too close to the lash line, I am keeping it slightly lower and blending it gently with my fingers. For the creamy products like this, I personally feel like fingers work really well. Once that's done, I'm going in with the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer in the shade medium, placing it over the areas where I applied the corrector. I'm going to let my concealer to marinate for a little bit more time so that it would give me a bit more coverage before blending. Then using a brush, I am gently tapping everything into the skin. The key here is to avoid dragging the product because we don't want to disturb that beautiful base underneath. We just need to tap and blend. To brighten up my eyelids and create a nice base for the eyeshadow, I am using the Nykaa's concealer in the shade 02N Light. I am applying a little over my lids and blending it out nicely. This step really helps the eyeshadows show up better and gives me a more even canvas to work with. And if at any point if the makeup starts feeling a little dry or isn't blending as smoothly as I wanted to, I would go back with my Dalba serum. Sometimes I'll spray a little bit onto my brush and continue blending. It will just help everything melt together and keeps the whole base looking nice and fresh. And now we are moving on to my absolute favorite part, which is the blush. I am starting with the Nykaa's blush stick in the shade Pink Passion. This is such a pretty pink and I am applying it directly onto the apples of my cheeks. Now I have a little bit of blush blindness, you will definitely see it further in this video, but I genuinely love a nice rosy flushed look, especially when I'm doing a proper glam makeup look. I'm also taking whatever product is left on the brush and adding a tiny bit across my nose for that soft naturally flushed effect. Next, I'm using the Simply Nam's blush in the shade 06 Hottie, concentrating slightly higher and towards the outer part of my cheeks, closer to my ears. So this shade has a beautiful warm corally tone. It adds a little warmth and dimension to the face. Layering these two shades also creates such a pretty transition from a fresh pink flush in the center to a warmer, softly bronzed effect around the outer cheek. Next, I'm picking up the brown shade from the same Insight palette and add a little contour and dimension to my face. I'm going to apply it around my forehead, underneath my cheekbones, and along my jawline, and then blending everything out using my concealer brush. For my nose contour, I like connecting the contour from the inner edge of my brows and bringing it down along the bridge of my nose. I personally feel like this makes everything look more connected and gives the nose a slightly sharper definition. And as I mentioned earlier, I have a little bit of blush blindness, so I'm going to apply a little bit more blush. Now to set my under eyes and prevent any creasing, I'm using a regular face powder with a small puff and slightly pressing it underneath my eyes. I'm not going to do anything heavy, we still want to maintain that fresh skin-like finish. Now comes the eye makeup, which is probably my favorite part of this entire look. Now for the eyeshadows, I'm using the Inside Cosmetics eyeshadows palette. First, I'm picking up the lightest shade and applying it all over my eyelid. Since we have already applied the concealer as the base, this steps help set everything in place and gives us a smooth canvas for the rest of the shadows. Then I'm taking a slightly deeper brown shade and blending it through my crease, working from the outer corner and gradually bringing it towards the inner part of the eye. Now when I'm blending the eyeshadow, I like to use small circular motions because it helps soften the edges and prevents any harsh lines between the two colors. Next, I'm going in with this beautiful warm orangey coral shade and applying it through the middle of my eyelid, blending it towards the inner sections. Basically, we are creating a soft transition of colors from deeper tones on the outside to the warmer and lighter tones as we moved inward. For the inner part of my eyelids, I am taking a lighter shade with a subtle shimmer. This adds just a little bit of brightness and gives the eyes that pretty dimensional glow without being too overpowering. Now to add some depth, I'm taking an angled brush and picking up a black eyeshadow. I'm applying it very close to my upper lash line to create a soft smoky liner effect. I'm not trying to make this perfectly neat at any stage because we are anyways going to blend it out. The goal is to create a soft smoky effect that melts into the other shades instead of looking like a harsh black eyeliner. I'm also softly extending it into the little wing following the angle of the tape to create that lifted and elongated eye shape. And this is what the eye look is like so far. To make the entire eye look feel more complete and balanced, I am taking a smaller brush and bringing the same shades onto my lower lash line. I am starting with the lighter brown shade and then gradually adding a slightly deeper brown closer to the lashes. Next, I'm using the Swiss Beauty's Jelly Words Glow Stick in the shade Bronzed Eclipse. And you guys, I genuinely love this formula. The texture is so smooth, the application is effortless, and it gives the prettiest glow without being too intense or glittery. It's more of a soft, elegant sparkle that catches the light beautifully. I'm applying it onto the center of my eyelids and also using the same stick to highlight my inner corners. And this is what the completed eye is looking like. To finish off the eye makeup, I'm going with this Renee Midnight Kohl Kajal in the shade Black and applying it along my waterline. As you can see, this eye instantly looks a little bigger and more defined. I'm going to repeat the same step on the other eye as well. Once both the eyes are done, I am going to take a powder brush and dust away the excess powder that we have applied earlier. Now I have two mascara options. One is the Sky High and the other is Bubble Mascara. But for today's look, I'm going with the Bubble Mascara because personally I love the more dramatic, slightly clumpy, lashy look it gives me. And now the makeup is almost completely done. I'm going back in with my Dalba Spray Serum for one final mist. This brings back some of that gorgeous glow that helps everything melt together beautifully. Now for an extra glow, I am using the Maybelline Sunkissed Highlighter Blush in the shade Midnight Shimmer. I'm not applying too much, just a few tiny dots and then blending everything out with my fingers. Now moving on to the lips, I am starting by lining my lips with the Swiss Beauty's Bold Matte Lip Liner in the shade Dark Chocolate. This is such a beautiful deep brown shade. Then I'm applying the Maybelline Superstays Vinyl Ink in the shade 115 Peppy. I love this shade because it initially gives you that beautiful gloss and then sets down, giving the lips a more long-lasting look. To create a soft ombre effect, I am adding a slightly mauvey shade towards the center of my lips. Then I'm taking the Simply Nams lipstick in the shade Shwetambari Rani Pink and applying it right in the inner center of my lips. This creates a beautiful gradient, adds a little brightness and gives the lips a fuller, more dimensional appearance. Now here's another little makeup hack that I have been recently loving. I like going back in and outlining my lips with the Renee's Midnight Kohl Kajal in the shade Brown. I know it sounds a little unconventional, but I feel like using a brown kajal along the lip helps me give a little bit extra definition and stays put really well. So if you have never tried it before, this might be something fun to experiment with. And that brings us to the final look. I have just brushed up my brows and added a little bindi, and this is how my entire makeup has come together. I absolutely love how fresh and glowy the skin looks, and the eyes have the soft smoky definition without taking away from the rest of the makeup. You can definitely recreate this look for Onam celebrations, weddings, family functions or any festive occasions where you want to feel a little extra. All the products that I have used in this video will be mentioned and tagged in the description box. Almost all the products that I have used are affordable except for the Dalba Spray Serum. Apart from that, every other product that I have used is very much affordable. And if you enjoyed this video and liked this makeup look, please let me know in the comments what was your favorite part. I would really like to know that. To everyone celebrating Onam this year, I wish you and your family a very happy Onam, and I'll see you in my next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.